Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Adobe
Hi,
Fonts
everyone.
Show.
Welcome.
Welcome, episode 40, Variable Fonts on Adobe Fonts. We have very exciting news to talk about with you all today.
Yes, something we've been waiting for a long time is finally here, and I'm excited to share a lot of tips and tricks with you all and explain what are variable fonts, see what questions you have. So feel free to be active in the chat.
Yes.
Ask us whatever you want. If you're on YouTube, come over to behance.net/live so that you can talk to us.
Yeah.
And we'll
We're
see
watching
what
the
you
chat
post.
on Behance. So if you want to ask questions, that's the place to do it.
Yeah, I see we have a lot of people already, and that's exciting.
Very exciting.
Tim, Wade, thank you for being moderators. We have Jack, Christelle, Camille, Mona,
Gareth,
Barbara. Great to see you again. Hi, and let us know where
Unicorn.
you're joining from too.
Yes, Michelle. I'm Ben. I'm in Brooklyn. So if anyone's on the East Coast, let me know. Although, let us know wherever you're from. We welcome people from all over the world.
Yes, and I'm Ari. I'm in Oakland, California. So we're covering two coasts, and we want to hear where else people are and watching us.
Daytona Beach, represent. So, another East Coaster.
Cool.
If any of you are new to Adobe Fonts, we're going to be showing off some cool stuff today about Adobe Fonts. But if you're new, Adobe Fonts is a very large library of fonts that you can use for both personal and commercial use. And if you have a Creative Cloud account, you can get started right away. And there's a lot of tools on our site to help you narrow things down, find what you're looking for. So if you have any questions about Adobe Fonts, or if you've never checked it out, today's the day. You can get started with variable fonts. I mean, if variable fonts are the first thing you've ever done on Adobe Fonts, you're going to be in a special category of like awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, and if this is your first time on this show, here on the Adobe Fonts Show, we talk about all things fonts and have great workshops with professionals in the type world. If you like the show, subscribe to Adobe Live on YouTube and follow Adobe Fonts on Behance to be updated on all future episodes and replay past episodes. So all these episodes can be replayed. If you missed something, you can always go back and check it out.
Yeah.
So should we jump into...
Really quick, we'll do this poll really fast and then we'll dive in because we got a lot to cover. But have you tried variable fonts on Adobe Fonts? A, yes. B, not yet. C, variable what now? So let us know in the chat if you're A, B, or C, or maybe you're something else. And you can write that in. But let us know if you've tried out variable fonts yet on Adobe Fonts.
Yeah. Mona says yes. Mona's A. Umacorn is B.
Okay, we got some not yets.
Maria is B.
Good.
We have a lot of A's and B's. I want to see some C's so I can explain what variable fonts are.
Yeah,
and
give
I
us a
feel
C.
like I need to.
Well, that takes us right into our topic. Today we're going to be talking about variable fonts.
Whoa.
And my buddy Frank Greasehammer, also on the Adobe type team, helped me with this animation. And this kind of shows you some of the power of what you can do with variable fonts. Pretty cool stuff. So hopefully this is a nice little preview of...
It's actually powered by my voice.
That's how it works. So yes, if you have questions about variable fonts, we're going to dive right in. Let us know in the chat. Oh, we got a couple C's too. Okay, good. So we'll talk about what variable fonts are.
Yeah, happy to talk more about it. So this is the Adobe Fonts website. I know a lot of you are familiar with this. The new edition that we're talking about today can be found under our filters. So if you click on variable fonts right here, you will filter down to just the variable font format. So what are variable fonts? We have a handy help page, which you can also look at, which talks all about it. But they are fonts. I'm reading this because I'm afraid I'm going to forget what I'm saying. They are fonts that store all of the possibilities of a font in one file. So instead of having light, regular, bold, etc., having different widths, having italic, regular, some of these fonts have all of that in one, depending on the amount of axes. So the axis will give you a range of possibilities. So you can be able to use just one font. I ended up not reading this, so it was
You went
tough.
rogue almost right away.
But the benefit of this is you have all these different values that you can specify to customize what your glyphs will look like that you're using in your design. And you can really fine tune, as opposed to what we call static fonts, which are traditional fonts that have multiple different files for different weights and widths. Those you have to use that specific one. You can't really fine tune.
Like a really simple example of this might be, you have regular and you have bold, right? But there's definitely stuff in between, but you can't get to it because you only have regular and you have bold on your computer. Well, a variable font lets you switch and show everything between regular and bold, and then pick the exact kind of boldness or lightness that you want to use. So that's just one example of what you can do. Also, Wade posted the link to variable fonts on the Adobe Fonts site in the chat. So if you want to check them out while we're doing this live, you can absolutely do that.
Yeah, so I'm just going to have a few of them open. Our classifications also work with these. So for example, if you want to just look at serifs, you can filter by those classifications and get those serif fonts. Also by language. For example, let me just I'll do Hebrew. We have Hebrew fonts as well that are variable. So you can use those filters alongside these. And I'll show you what the family page looks like for these. So here we have also serif variable. This is designed by Robert Slimbach. It's an Adobe original. So we just released it for the first time. And the first thing we see is this sample area, which allows us to view all of the possibilities. So each of these are axes that give us a range. So for example, for width, it's getting lighter to heavier. For width, it's getting narrower to wider. For weight, it's getting lighter to heavier. So we can see that the axes have assigned a little symbol, a handle. So if I pull on this up and down, I am changing the weight. And then this, I see here, the square is assigned to width. So if I pull on this right to left, I'm getting the width. And you can see it's changing
in the sidebar there as it's updating in there. And you can change it from either place, which is pretty cool.
The other thing that happens is it's changing the URL of this page. So if I wanted to send this to someone, they would see exactly this.
And you could bookmark it too.
Instances are what we call these specific.
You can bookmark it.
Yes, you can bookmark it. So if I change this weight, you'll see here, I think it's this that changes. Oh, there it is. Okay, you'll see like this number changes when I change the weight.
And you'll see that matches the weight 200 in the sidebar too. You see 200 there. It'll be the same in the URL.
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of the most eye-catching thing, but we can also change the text size here so that we can see it bigger or smaller depending on what our project calls for. We can also reset to the default if we've changed everything, we experimented, but we want to reset it. We have a reset button. And we can also look at the different preset styles. So even though there's a wide range of possibilities, everything in between, we also have preset styles that the type designer assigned.
Kind of makes it
so just like a traditional
kind of makes it easy to find something for a particular use case or purpose, just like you would find in the weights or or, you know, the different styles of fonts.
And we have the shuffle button. So you can shuffle through these preset styles to give
And you'll
you a
just get a
sense
random
of
one in the
the
list.
range.
And yeah.
And then you can tweak that a little bit if you want, like, oh, I just want it a little bit heavier. There I go. And then for quick glance, we have this area here, which tells you how many axes there are, how many instances, which are those preset styles. And also, if you hover over these, you'll see the full range.
So cool.
And then same as our other pages, information. Another thing is using variable fonts for web. They have a huge benefit for web because it's only one file that needs to load. So I'll just switch to another page. This is obviously variable. Let's say I want to add this to my web project. First of all, I might want to customize. So this is the italic handle. Ooh, this is the width. Maybe I want it a little heavier. So I want to use this specific instance, these settings that I've just tweaked in my website. I can click on copy CSS. And once I click on that, it's copied. And then I have that exact
and you can just paste that
to use in my
paste
website.
That in your CSS to use that.
Yes. So if I want to add this to my web project, it's the same button as usual for all of our font family pages. I click on Add to Web Project. I create my web project name. And then, how is this different, Ben?
You'll notice
what
that
would I have
instead
to do?
of specifying the weights of the font or the styles, we're specifying ranges. And you can tweak these in your CSS so you can limit the range of what you're going to use in your variable font, but we have sensible defaults in here that make it easy to get started. So that's going to be one of the differences, is that you're going to set a range and then you're going to say in the default instance, you can see up there, italic 0, so that's the default. And if you want to change it to an italic, you would put it italic 1. And then as the width gets higher, it's going to get wider, and then same with the weight. The weight's going to get bolder or smaller depending on how high it is. So
yeah, and we can do another episode on using variable fonts for web.
If you're interested in that, let us know in the chat, and we'll do one specifically about using variable fonts on websites.
Yeah. So this is another example of something with 3 axes. So these can have any number of axes. It's really up to the designer. And the way that they can make this so seamless, where there's any instance in between is able to have a very seamless look, is a process called interpolation. So they design various versions of each glyph, and they then interpolate between them so that when you are sliding this, it doesn't just jump like from bold to black to ultra.
Smooth.
It's a smooth. Yeah. And in the next few weeks, next stream in 2 weeks, we're going to have an in-depth look at the process. So stay tuned to see who our guest is.
Yes, we'll announce it at the end of the stream.
At the end. Yes. This is a really cool one. So usually variable fonts have been developed in order to accommodate a wide range of weights, widths, what would usually be a really big family, but it's also used as a technology to introduce some really creative styles and quirkiness. So this is one of those examples. This is by Furkotzi. It's called June EXPT. And this has a style axis. So as you slide this, it just changes it completely to a different style.
It adds all this character.
The font becomes really wacky.
And you can add just a little bit of that, give it a little bit of kind of funkiness, or just go hog wild.
I go,
And it looks totally
wow.
different.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it can be used for, this technology can be used for making things more practical. For example, websites, you only need one file. The loading time is easier, all that. Or introducing this quirkiness and flexibility to dial it all the way up to 11, or say, oh, I want it a
You
little
could imagine
quirky.
too, if you're on a website and you hover over this link, it could start out all the way to the left, and then when you hover over the link, it gets all funky. So like
Oh,
you hover over
yeah.
it, and
Like contact us. And when you hover, it's
it
like,
animates to the new, yeah,
now you realize we're
yeah.
weird.
So
Yeah. Is there anything else on the website we should highlight
we can
before
just show
we
them that
move
activating
on?
this font is as simple as activating any other font on Adobe Fonts.
Yes, I will click activate.
There it is.
Bing.
It's that simple.
And then it'll be available. So where are these available? Great question. I don't know if anyone asked, but
I was wondering, so I'm so
making
glad
it
you brought it up.
seem like they did. So you can use variable fonts in Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. Those are the apps that currently support this functionality, Adobe apps. I know that variable fonts can be used in non-Adobe apps as well. So if you activate these,
And
they're
any apps that
available
support
on
variable
your
fonts,
system.
they'll work.
Yes. But we're going to show Illustrator today. And I'm just going to jump into the project that I've been working on. So here we go. So I've been using, obviously, variable in my
From
project.
Onotype.
This is a real project. Yes. So obviously it's from Onotype Co. This is a real project. It's a real print shop located in Oakland, California. This is their business card. So they are a screen printing shop, and they also have smoothies as well. And they sell merchandise. They sell their smoothies. They do workshops. They do screen printing, custom jobs. You can see it all on this business card. And if you want to know more,
you can go to these links.
you can just screenshot this. But they had a lot of surfaces where they wanted to introduce signage. They wanted to do the business cards. They want smoothie labels. So there's a lot of varying sizes that are needed. And I was trying to figure out, how can I create a system for them that's easy, where they don't need to have a bunch of different fonts that they have to remember, or make sure that all of their staff remembers or has access to. What if it was just one font? What if I just said, here, use this, and then, change it however you want for each application, but it'll still have the same look. So a variable font is so great for that. And I approached this with that in mind from the beginning. So it's worked out really well so far. This is still in progress. It's not final. I'm still working on the signs, which we can work on today together. And let me just show you, first of all, that I activated that font just now, the June one. So I just wanted to show you, it's in my menu in Illustrator, just like any other activation that we do. And just to show you how it looks in Illustrator, I select it. Before I select it, I'll show you. It does have the 2 preset styles available, just like a normal font would show you all the styles. You can select one of those if you just want to be basic. No, but you can do that. And then once you select it, this is the little TT icon, which will allow you to pull the sliders. So right in the character menu, right under the font name, we just click on this, and then we have that slider available that we can slide in Illustrator.
And if this font had
Same
If
in
this font
Design
had 4
Social.
more axes, you would see 4 more sliders here.
Correct. So I will change it to, obviously, because this is what I've been using. Let me just start with, see how many styles are included in this font. It's pretty
This is another
mind-blowing.
reason obviously is good for something like this, is that there's everything from super black, super wide, all the way down to ultra thin and compressed. So you can really use it in a
Right.
wide variety of use cases.
So this works well for signage because if you have multiple different bodies of text and you want them all to look cohesive, sometimes it's hard to do because you have to be restricted to the styles that are in the font family. In this case, for example, if I want opening and hours to have the same width and make it look kind of like a block, I can easily do this. I don't have to stretch a font or find a font that has like exactly the same width naturally. I can just use the width axis. So if I think I want this hours to be a little bit heavier first of all. So I'm gonna make it heavier. And then with opening, I'm just gonna adjust the width. Let me move it over. I just want it to take up the same amount of horizontal space because I think that would look cool. So I can just do that, and it can be tweaked to be exactly the same. Let me just do this and see how exactly I want it to look, to hit the same lines.
We got a question from YouTube.
And
Any
then,
plans for this to be used in Premiere? And then someone added, and in After Effects. And the answer is yes. There are definitely plans for that. So, yeah.
Yes. And that's a really great possible future of being able to do animations with these. So definitely looking forward to that as much as you are, whoever wrote that.
Alejandra. And you could also, with that opening at the top, if it was, if you wanted it to be slightly bolder, just to make it, you know, a little bit more like the one below, you don't have to blow it out that way. You can just kind of, you know, just add a little bit more thickness if it feels like it needs it, and maybe it doesn't, but that option is there. So, and sometimes you can go fully light.
Yeah, there's just so many possibilities, and it's still maintaining the structure of the font. It's maintaining the design that the type designer intended. It's not stretching it. It's not changing the width and then also changing the height and making it just not fit. Like you can really be precise with this.
And you retain the spirit of the font, no matter how precise you get.
Yeah. And then we also have italics. So it kind of gradually gets italic, which is cool. Maybe I just wanted a little bit italic. A little slanted. So that's an example of how to use this. Another example is kind of taking it to the extreme. So this has subtext that is kind of long. I want this title, since it's such a short word, to take up more space. So what if I just take it all the way?
Whoa. I like that.
What if I make it even bigger? I feel like maybe I should do it the weight a little small.
I feel like the N and K get a little lost when it's totally when it's ultra fat.
Yeah, we need a little more definition.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So it just makes it so much better, and it takes up so much space, but you can do it exactly to how much space you want. So it's just so versatile. I think whoever's using this it can be really intuitive and allow them to create designs that are eye-catching, fill up the space, look cohesive, and all you're doing is using just one font file, and they don't have to try to remember all these different styles. They can just tweak it to their heart's content, and I think it's pretty easy to do. If you have any other questions, let us know. Or if you're trying to use one of these fonts in one of these apps, I'd love to hear about it. What about making something really narrow? So these obviously don't fit into this pricing. It's going to be this little card that's on a stand. So the first impulse I have is to make the width narrower. Could go all the way there, but obviously we're not.
Little
we're going to take
too
it
extreme.
up here. Yeah, a little too extreme.
But what's great about that is you're still using the same font, and you just solved the issue without having to make the font so small that it's hard to read.
Yeah, and what would normally happen is I would say, oh, this is too wide. I'm going to choose one of these. And I would say, oh, let me choose this. Then it's too narrow. Okay, what if I do this? That's better. And then I'm like, oh, another item I have is longer. That doesn't make sense because they wouldn't have a hood, but whatever.
Good enough for the example.
And then I'm like, oh no, I have to change it to the condensed. Oh, but then it's so...
Yeah, then t-shirt looks too small.
Oh, compressed. Wait, which one is it? Condensed or compressed? Oh, condensed. Oh, is nothing easy?
There must be a better way.
But, I almost threw my earphones off. So then I'm like, wow, there's a better way. Of course, I can just do this and then have it exactly how I want. So just showing you, the troubles of designing and how we can solve them all.
With variable fonts.
Everything can be solved. Here, again, like the width really makes a difference with these smoothie labels. I still haven't figured it out because everything needs to be fitting the same heart. So at the Electric Smoothie Lab and Apothecary and Print Shop, they sell smoothies and they have 3 types. And it's a challenge because it's green, pink, and yellow. Green, pink, and yellow take up different amounts of space as words.
Because they have a different amount of letters.
So, yes,
yeah.
That's why. I was wondering if it's the color, but it's the letters. So, how do you make sure that you're still making it readable and making it look similar to the others, but also it's fit into that heart? So for example, here I also want smoothie to be the same width as yellow healing. So I just use this and I go, okay, let's make it the same width. Perfect. I can take my ruler down and I can say, look, I want all of these to be start at the same bottom part of the heart, going up to the same top part. So in this case, green is a little narrower. How can I make sure that pink looks the same? Honestly, these are completely different. So, it's because I'm using, okay. This is the preset of bold, but this is a custom one. So I'm looking at the width. I want to make them the same. So we're going to make this width a little bit narrower, make this weight heavier. I can look at this and see what my width and weight were as well. So I can see 99.5 and 800, and then I can input that here. I was a little
Pretty
off.
close though. Definitely the ball in the.
Yeah, those eyes aren't bad.
Definitely in the ballpark.
So that's a way to make this, see the green is at the bottom line. Let's see, can I move this down and then make this a little bit wider so it's the same width as Smoothie? So that's another benefit, vertical text going vertical, which isn't very common, but it's just the conundrum of everyday design. Different words have different lengths. Everything needs to fit into a space. Things need to look good. So how do we do it with variable fonts?
And another just slightly side benefit of the tweaks that you're making here is that Smoothie is now not a default preset or a default style for this font. Even though it's pretty close, it's custom for this project. And that's just kind of cool. It's like you're using the variable font to make it do what you need it to do, but at the same time, you're kind of making your own variation of this font. And so.
Yeah, and then it really came in handy here because I needed to put these really small labels that are essential, but they're not pretty or they don't contribute to the design. We need to put them in and they need to fit exactly in these spaces. So keep refrigerated. I have a custom instance here. I always start with the most extreme and then move it until I'm happy with it. And I think it's totally readable, even though it's condensed, and it fits great in this space. The truth will come out when it's printed, so we'll see, but I think it looks pretty good, and it didn't take any effort. I just typed it in, moved those sliders until it looked like it fit. That would have taken me a lot longer in my previous life without variable fonts.
Oh, what a sad life that was. We never have to go back there
Don't
again.
Remind. We do have, I want to mention, we have about 180 variable fonts available currently. So we have a good range of styles for you to try and experiment with.
And again, a lot of those 180 have very many axes that you can experiment with. And so it's really more than 180.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It's like 1 million,
probably. Yeah.
Actually. I mean, you could make the argument that it's infinity.
That's how many things you can do with these fonts. Infinite.
Anything you want.
Also, it's just really fun messing around with them. It's very intuitive.
Yeah, it's super fun.
The visual feedback is so nice.
I want to see this one.
Also, I really like the little lightning bolt with the heart.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I designed the logo.
Very good.
Thank you. I just can't get enough of this. So fun.
It is so fun. Yes, I don't know if anyone's ever basically done what Ari's doing right now, but basically all you have to work with is the transform tool or the font size. And then maybe pick a width or style to kind of try to make it work. But again, if you click over to bold, you get a totally different look. And then if you switch over to condensed, you get a totally different look. It's way more intuitive to tweak it in this way. You can just get it done so much faster, mainly because you can see exactly what you're doing as you're doing it. It's not jumping around and new sizes are, it's not popping all around. It's just, you get to see exactly what's happening as you do it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go and see what other styles I can activate.
And try out.
See, like hand. What does this one look like? Ooh. So this one, side note from Jamie Clark type, it has a slant axis.
Kind of like an italic.
Weight and width. That's cool.
So cool.
And then you can shuffle, see all the different ones. Wow.
Whoa. That shuffle gives you a little preview of how fun the animations can be.
I know. Oh, this is one that we showed in our video. Let me see. Let me open a couple of these to show
JetLab's
you.
pretty fun.
JetLab has 4 axes, so you can what does verticals mean?
It's kind of the width and
It's the
kind of
width,
boldness.
right? Wait, what's horizontals?
Whoa.
Oh, it brings the crossbars down.
So cool. And you can bring them all the way to the middle and then to the bottom.
Whoa. This is the lift.
That would be a fun animation right there.
I think I'm going to change this. I think I'm going to change this to be the square because I can change the handles. It might be more intuitive if the square is the one that does this.
Oh.
What do you guys think? And then, whoa, I just can't wrap my mind around this.
But you can see, like,
it's pretty amazing.
You can get some really different styles just from this one font.
Yes. Very different. I think my favorite is when these go down.
It's kind of blocky.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay, that's my favorite, but I want it to be a little bit narrower.
That's looking very like old school computer now. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it reminds me of, I forgot which font it is. It reminds me of something.
I think I know the font you're talking about.
What is it?
I can't remember the
then
name,
there's,
the name either.
There's a little bit from Emigre. So this makes the circles get bigger or smaller.
Christelle said the lift option was absolutely mind-blowing. Agreed.
Yes. It's pretty cool.
I mean, just how much it changes the feel and style. Like
I'm always partial to low crossbars.
This one looks like a computer, and then move it to the other side and it looks 70s all of a sudden. So like the other one looks 80s and this one looks 70s. Yeah.
Weird.
At least it does to me.
I always draw my letters with a low crossbar. It's just a thing. Yeah. A little bit lower than the center. I think it makes them friendlier.
How do you feel about reverse contrast sans serifs?
Oh, I love it. That's why I love this. Look at that reverse contrast. So cool. Whereas if I do this, then it's just kind of monoline. I like that too.
That is really fun.
So JetLab variable from Swell type, definitely experiment with this one. Then there's CC deadline, which is pretty
Oh
mind-blowing.
yeah, increase that font size.
I'm going to make the text
Yeah.
size bigger. Oh, and one other thing that I wanted to point out. So there are multiple fonts in some of these. So in this case, for example, there's an open version. So you can see here there's no drop down under the font menu part, but here there is. There's two options. So make sure that you look at those to see what other fonts are included. So there's two separate variable fonts. We just group them together because they're the same family. That makes sense. So I'm using the open one now, and it changes the slant of the tops of the letters.
Cool.
So if you go to the middle, they're all straight. And then if you go here.
I mean, it almost looks like you're driving past a sign and you're seeing it from a different angle as you go by, you know? That's so cool.
Yeah. And this is from Comicraft. So I would expect in something like a comic book where the placement is really important, you might have something going on the page to the top left. And so you want the letters to
direction
be
is really
that
key in the comic book, right? Because you're reading right to left. And so action is always happening right to left. Left to right, sorry.
Yeah. And this gets real wide.
Real wide.
Yeah. So they're dancing.
So cool. Also, Amy Butler's in the chat and said,
hey, Amy. Amy's the owner of the print shop.
She said the logo turned out great. So
yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it was really fun. So definitely check them out. If you need any screen printing done and you're in the Bay Area, California.
Make that text size a little larger, I think. Can't see what's happening there.
So we can also customize the text. I forgot to say, in case you guys hadn't tried it out, you can change the text to say something else.
So cool.
So you can do multiple lines. I'm going to make this a little smaller. And then in this font, it changes the size of the verticals, the sticks, and then it changes the size of the balls on the sticks. So you can get different.
Again, animating.
This one's pretty quirky.
Those would be really fun, like little heartbeats or something.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool. Yeah, so you can customize the text. I keep forgetting things to say, but that's a good one to say to make sure everyone knows.
Maybe you just get tired of the term hand gloves.
I know.
You know? It's a good term because you get a look at a bunch of really important letters. But
yes, that's why it was chosen.
But,
what about this one? These scripts, I think most of them have a weight axis. So, for example, this one is Duos from Underwear. It's a very unique handwritten style. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. And
so cool. Yeah, this is just fun to mess around with.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it's fun to see and do all these little experiments. But the great thing is that it's very practical as well for your projects and for websites. So anything that, it's like clothes, if they're comfortable but they also look really cool, that's awesome. And these
Functional and fashionable.
practical, functional,
Yeah.
and fashionable. Yeah. Do we have any other questions?
I haven't seen any in a little bit. Yeah, if you have any more questions about variable fonts, now's the time to get them in.
Yeah, let us know what other questions you have.
Oh, Wade just posted the link to the Electric Smoothie Lab Apothecary and Print Shop. So if anyone is in the Bay Area, check that out. Or check it out in general. But if you want to go actually visit it and you're in the Bay Area, check it out for sure.
Yeah, and they're new. They just opened. So they're still figuring everything out and still implementing this logo and all this stuff. It's all a work in progress. So it's fun to be a part of that and see how it evolves. But one of those things that a variable font can help with. So if we have anyone new to the chat that joined after we did our first introduction, variable fonts launched just over a week ago. It's very new on the Adobe Fonts service, but variable fonts have been supported on Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop for a while. We just didn't have the ability to bring fonts into our service to activate and use in the apps.
Yeah, variable fonts have been around for
it's an exciting development.
But now they're in the Adobe Fonts library, which is very exciting.
Yes, and for those of you that missed this part, once you activate one of the fonts, just like any other font, you go in here and you have this little icon. And I think the same icon is shared. So if you go to our website in your browsing, oh, we use the AA. So ours says AA, but it's the same concept.
Of like a little slider.
So just so that you can recognize this icon versus the TT in the apps. And it's great because if you send this to someone else and they have the variable font activated, it will show them the same look that you created, the same default instance. It's not going to change. It's easy to share. And also, if you have a document that's using a static version of the font, for example, I started this using obviously the static family before I was able to access the variable font. I opened it and with the variable font, and the variable font was, since it's the same font, it defaulted to those instances. So where I had bold, it gave me bold in the variable font.
So it was very easy to switch over to the variable font.
Yeah, it was really easy. So that's a cool thing. Yeah. I think some people have started experimenting. Let us know which fonts you've used.
If you're trying out variable fonts right now, we would love to know.
Yes. Let us know. See how the A and Y changed? Because when it's upright, it's a double story A.
Zoom in on that when you did that.
I'm trying. Double story A when it's upright, and then when it's italic, it changes.
And the Y changes too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cool.
So cute.
That's great.
Yes.
Yes.
Whoops. Created a text box. You know what happened to me in InDesign? This file has different colors than another file I have. Has anyone had this happen to them? Like this pink, even if I make it like the hot pink, it's still not quite that.
In
It's like
InDesign?
dulled
Oh,
in
in Illustrator.
Illustrator.
Yeah.
Did I say InDesign? Sorry. But do you see how obviously we're now on multiple different screens, so you can't see my original screen. But if anyone had this happen to them, let me know. And what I can do, I restarted. And then I'm like, is it my eyes? But I was picking really bright colors and they were looking kind of dim. And then I was opening a different app or different tab in Illustrator and it was looking like I intended. So there's something about this file that is like making
Making
colors
it harder
duller.
to get them vibrant.
Yeah, but I like how they look. And then when I export, they look bright. But then I get used to them in the file. And
then
then
you want them to look how they look in the file. Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone knows what's going on, do tell in the chat. We were supposed to answer your questions, but now maybe you can answer our questions. That's how we do it here at the Adobe Fonts Show.
Well, you're not asking me enough questions. So now see, if you don't ask me questions, I'm going to make you work for something else.
Yeah. Also, yeah, if you don't ask us questions, the questions that are already in my mind are going to start talking really loudly. So it's just how it goes.
Exactly. Yeah, so another thing to share is that we will continue updating our inventory of variable fonts. So we're going to be adding more going forward, just like we always add more fonts in general to our service. And you can stay tuned to see more styles. For now, this was just the limited release at launch.
More to come.
And
definitely
more to come. Always more to come. This one's cool. So it goes from monospace to proportional width.
Nice. Also, I love monospace fonts. Big fan.
They've got a certain charm. Again, very functional.
Kind of typewritery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Wade says, what color space are you working in? And then Umacorn added maybe something to do with the document's color profile, which I think those are getting at the same possible issue.
Yes, I have to check the color profile. Document color mode. Whoops.
Oh,
that's saying like here
RGB. Because you're going to be printing these. Oh, we're getting pretty close to the end of the stream.
Okay. I might have to troubleshoot this on my own.
If she hasn't figured it out by the next stream, we'll ask. We'll dive back in.
Every stream will be like, did you figure it out?
Help me.
No.
Awesome. Thank you everybody for joining us today. If you liked this episode and you want to see more of the Adobe Fonts show, check out behance.net/Adobe Fonts. All of the previous episodes are there and all new episodes will be announced there. If you have any questions for us, you can also message us there and we can get back to you. So check that out. And then I wanted to talk about our plans for next time on the Adobe Fonts. That's 2 weeks from today. We have James Edmondson of Oh No Typeco. Oh No Typeco did obviously the font that Ari was highlighting today in the file that she was working on. So 2 weeks from now, James is going to come on the stream, and there's definitely going to be some insight into how variable fonts are made and how they work. and you're going to get a little bit of behind the scenes look at that kind of stuff. So definitely join us for that.
It's going to be great.
Fantastic. Thank you again all for joining us. Ari, good to see you. And we'll see you in a couple weeks, everybody.
Good to see you too.
Bye.
Yeah, let us know when you use variable fonts.
Bye.
Bye.